Good morning. I saw an article recently that I was very excited about. NASA announced that they intend to send people back to the moon by 2024. 2024. It's hard to believe that Gene Cernan in 1972 was the last man to walk on the moon. If you'd have told me back then that it would be 48 years later and no one would have gone back to the moon, I would have thought you were crazy. We'd begun this incredible exploration of outer space. We hope to go back. If they're right, it'll be 52 years since the last person had walked on the moon. You know, it's interesting when back in 1961 that they were trying to decide who would be the original 7 astronauts. They had chosen all these different people to interview and to put them through all kinds of rigorous tests. They all had to have more than 1,000 hours flying, and then they went through incredible rigorous testing. All of them were men. But there was an unofficial program, and it was called the Mercury 13. It turned out that there was a scientist who had been involved with NASA and the space program who wanted to see if women could be as good or better astronauts than men. And he had found 13 women who volunteered, who all had the same idea, 1,000+ hours of flying, all the same qualifications, and then he began to put them through the testing as well to see how they would do. One of those people was Mary Wally Funk. Mary Wally loved flying. She goes by Wally. That was her passion in life. And so when she heard about the idea, she immediately jumped at it. There was all kinds of things that they had to do, but one of those fascinating things was they had a sensory deprivation tank. Now the men, what they did for the men astronauts, they put them in a chair, put them in a room, no lights, no sound, and they made them sit there alone in the dark, total sensory deprivation for 3 hours to see how the psychological part of that astronaut would be. Well, for the women, now they didn't do that. They had a water tank. They took these women into a water tank, laid them on the water, and then they got a flotation and put it under their lower back and right under their neck. They were supposed to spread their arms out and lay there on their back and just float in the water. They would close the door. There would be no light. There would be no sound. You would be floating in the water. It was exactly 98.6 water temperature. You really wouldn't be able to tell where air in your body all started and ended as you floated in the tank. Now, most scientists believe that no one could do this 6 hours, and they were anxious to try and see. One woman actually did it for 9 hours and 40 minutes. And then Wally got her turn. They took her into the tank. They put her in. They laid her out. You know, sometimes people would start doing weird things with sensory deprivation like that. She was determined she would do well. She was lying there, no sense of time whatsoever. Finally, a speaker came on, and the people who were overseeing it said, "How are you feeling?" She said, "I'm doing great." And they said, "Well, we think that the time is done. We're going to start bringing up the lights, so be careful." They brought up the lights, and they came in and got her out of the tank. She had been there now for 10 hours and 35 minutes when they finally called it. 10 hours and 35 minutes. Wally passed all the tests, incredible. In fact, the scientist told her that what you do with each of these tests, you have bested each of the men. She was that good. But of course, NASA didn't want women. They didn't want women. I want to read you what they said. The objections were, well, women are too weak. They're incompetent. They are too complacent. They are too physically complicated. What? This is back in 1961. To think that's the thing that people would actually be saying about women and they couldn't be astronauts? It would be 22 years before Sally Ride actually got a ride on the Space Shuttle Challenger. First woman in space, Sally Ride. 22 years after people like Wally Funk tried so hard to prove they could be just as good as anybody else. You know the exciting thing about NASA right now going back to the moon? they said that one of the astronauts will be a woman. That a woman is finally going to walk on the moon in 2024. Some people think it might wind up being Christina Cook. She just got back in February from the space station, the International Space Station. She had been there for 328 days, almost a year, flying in space. Will it be Christina? I don't know. But they said a woman is finally going to get to walk on the moon. And why not? Obviously, they are just as good, if not better, than the men astronauts, if just simply given a chance. And Wally Funk, if you go talk to her, she'll show you the ticket she has. She paid $200,000 for a ticket to fly on the Virgin Galactic Spaceship Two. You know, it isn't just Elon Musk who's flying into space, so is Richard Branson. And with the Virgin Galactic and their Spaceship Two, she's already bought herself a ticket. It may take quite a few years, but Wally's going to make it into space. You know, I think of Paul when he said, "There is no Greek nor Jew, nor slave nor free, nor male nor female. We are one in Christ." There is no male nor female. We are called to be the people God created us to be and to pursue whatever dreams you feel like you've been called to pursue. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. Pursue your dreams. Today, go out and shoot for the moon. Have a great day.